Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. We'll see you May 3rd in Burbank, May 12th in Tempe, May 18th in Austin, Texas, and June 5th in Hermosa Beach. Okay, we're doing live Jimmy Dore shows. We have a special guest with us today. It's there he is. It's Jordan Chariton, from Status Coup, C-O-U-P. It's Status Coup. That's his new news channel on YouTube and his website. It's Jordan Chariton and the reporter extraordinaire. Hey, Jordan, how are you?
Hey, Jimmy, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Now, people, if you don't know Jordan, he was famous for breaking the Donna Brazile story, where she got caught sneaking questions to the Hillary Clinton campaign at the debate. So that was Jordan's big scoop, and he's been covering the Flint crisis a lot. So you want to tell us a little bit, and before I play this trailer for you?
Yeah, so I've been to Flint covering this for many, many years after the media kind of left. And I was always kind of getting from residents there and sources there, like the official story that the water's getting better was BS. So over the summer, my partner and I, Jen Dyes, and I, on a hunch, just from a few sources, started knocking on doors, like this old school concept of like journalism. And we started finding out that the state environmental agency, which if you know the details and background, the same environmental agency that caused the water to get lead in it, they were basically cooking the data. They were flushing residents' lines right before taking lead and copper samples. So we just went really hauled ass for 3 weeks over the summer, and then we went back in the fall. We knocked on 450 doors, spoke with 150 residents to basically break this story that they manipulated the testing and the data, which has led to, we've met with the Solicitor General in Michigan. I can't really go into details, but there's action currently underway. So all of this, Ty Bayless, our photojournalist, cameraman, editor extraordinaire, has made this into a documentary kind of splitting between the interviews with the residents, us finding this out with some of the more human, personal tragedy that's still going on there. We're releasing this April 23rd, 2 days before the 5-year anniversary of the water crisis.
Okay, so let me play it right now. It's pretty cool. Here we go.
When the water changed color to brown and orange, your administration said the water was safe. When people reported rashes, hair loss, odor, and even sewage, your administration said the water was safe. When Legionnaire's disease began to infect and later kill numerous citizens, your administration said the water was safe.
I'm a journalist. I'm just asking residents on this block if the state ever came to test your water.
They told me they needed to go to the kitchen sink. That's where they went. They turned the water on, let it run for, like I said, like a minute, and collected their sample.
Your results are interesting because 15 parts per billion is the limit. So them telling you to let the water run for that long, that's probably why you were getting such low results.
When they did it, do you remember if they turned the water on and took the sample right away, or did they let it run first?
They let it run a while.
They showed up at my door and they handed me a pamphlet and said, okay, it's safe to bathe in, before they even went in my house.
Have you had any problems health-wise since the water switch?
Itching, breaking down, stuff like that.
My teeth, yeah, so.
And I've had pneumonia.
Our skin and our hair.
I've been getting a lot of boils.
Go ahead, get it. Right. Bro, I'm telling you. And I get them just bro. And they were worse.
My daughter did have a miscarriage.
He was at Heritage Manor, went to McLaren where they had the Legionnaires. My father is dead. They want us out of here. They want to make it a college town, and we are not a fool. We know it. Go up and down the street. Look over there. We have a forest in the daggum city.
We can't drink our water. We can't go outside and play. We ain't got no parks.
They're just going in, people who don't know EPA regulations, people that are older, people that are younger, people that are poor, whatever. And they're just right in front of them cheating to try and get a lower number. So who the hell knows what the real numbers are? You always hear that talking point, well, like 3,000 other cities have worse numbers than Flint. I think what we're getting at here is we probably don't know the real lead levels in Flint because they've been flushing out the lead before they test.
All right, so that's the new documentary going to premiere. When does that premiere?
That premieres April 23rd, but for Status Quo members, hint, hint, statusquo.com/join, you could see it this Saturday, and members will get it free, as well as Flint residents are going to get it earlier than everybody else and for free.
So now, Jordan, there has been a few prosecutions, correct? So can you tell us what's actually happened legally around Flint?
Yeah, so essentially the old attorney general who was running for governor, he's a Republican, a Trump guy, he charged 15 state officials, Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, people from the water plant. A lot of people think his charges were kind of to grow his profile for his governor's run. Only 2 have actually been bound over to a trial yet. There's been a lot of plea deals for the other ones. What we found, actually nobody's been charged for yet because nobody was looking. The media, like we've seen in so many other stories, Jimmy, most state and local media is just as abysmal as the corporate media. So nobody's been charged yet for this, but fortunately, we were reaching out to the old administration for what we found. But obviously, the Republican Attorney General was not going to do much based on what we found, because it was Rick Snyder and his environmental agency cheating on the testing. So now that there's a Democrat and a new attorney general, they've been definitely more open. And once I sent them our findings, we scheduled a meeting and we met in February. I've been in touch with them since. And what's really, to really boil this down so people get it, like Erin Brockovich is quoted in the story. The documentary is based on a written story. She basically said, this is criminal, this is cheating, and the testing should be tossed. And Rick Snyder, everybody knows who he was, the ex-governor, he shut down the water pods and he called the water restored in Flint based on the very data we found. So they were essentially going into people's homes and just running the water. And by doing that, you're just flushing out the lead. It's not like, it's not, people don't think about it like a Watergate, but it's environmentally speaking, like Erin Brockovich has called this one of the biggest cover-ups of this century. They poisoned people and then they covered it up. And thankfully, the new Attorney General's office is looking into it. But I think people will see in the documentary, this was pretty brazen. And, the media, corporate media, national, local, has just breathlessly regurgitated the EPA and the state's numbers saying, oh, we're now, the levels are going down and we're meeting EPA regulations. Well, we actually looked into it, and to get those numbered, they cheated.
So, Barack Obama famously went there, and it was covered in Fahrenheit 9/11 or 11/9, whatever that movie is called. Barack Obama completely did nothing for these people except bullshit them, right? Isn't that what happened? Like, why did he not do anything?
I think Barack Obama essentially was taking the EPA's line. The EPA to this day is still covering it up. We have paperwork to prove this. We have on the record statements from 35 residents that their homes were flushed. The EPA, when I approached them about this, they say, well, according to our numbers that the state has given us, Flint is meeting EPA regulations. Why? Obama and the current EPA, Flint's poor. We don't want to keep spending money to fix Flint's pipes, because it's not just the pipes in the street that need to be fixed, it's the pipes in people's homes. And you want to talk about how much money that would cost to replace interior plumbing, state plumbing. But yeah, Obama didn't do anything because, again, Flint is poor. It's largely minority. It's not just Obama, the Democratic Party modern day. Imagine if the Democratic Party today, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, the same people who barely will stand up for a Muslim congresswoman, the same people now countering a $755 billion budget with a $733 billion budget. Imagine if they were fighting for Flint, but they're not. And that's because Flint is poor. And it's not just the people that we think of, Jimmy. I happen to like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez a lot, but this has been sitting in her office for months. She hasn't said anything about this. Elijah Cummings hasn't said anything about this. He's the ranking chairman of the Oversight Committee. I mean, it wasn't just breaking the story. We have been trying to get politicians to do something about this, because the point is they cook the testing so children can still be drinking contaminated water, because the numbers are not credible.
Who's the congressperson that serves Flint?
Congressman Dan Kildee. And the funny thing about that is Dan Kildee sent a letter to the EPA based on what we found. And unfortunately, he sent a letter telling the EPA, a recent news report found pre-flushing in Flint. Not to get too in the weeds, but pre-flushing is when they flush the night before. They run the water the night before a morning test. We didn't find that. We found day of, like right before you take the sample. So he got it wrong. When I approached his office respectfully saying, hey, I don't really think you understand it, they didn't respond. The senator, Debbie Stabenow, hasn't said anything. Again, Elijah Cummings, Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, who represents Detroit. She has responded to one of my emails. They have not publicly said anything. So
why? I mean, this seems like a winning issue. It seems like people care about this. I think on both sides of the aisle want everyone to have access to clean water. So how is it? I understand they're poor and they don't have any political power. Do they really want to get rid, like that woman said in the trailer I played, that they want to turn it into a college town? They really want to get rid of those people so they can develop Flint?
Well, I could tell you from going around the country. I mean, I haven't gone around as much as when I was at the Young Turks, because we're not funded for that yet. But going around as much as I have, I mean, they're doing that everywhere. They're doing that in Detroit. They're doing that in Cleveland, Milwaukee, largely black, largely poor towns, under the guise of economic development. They're trying to push poor people out that happen to be black. And in Flint's case, I mean, you could call it what you want, but when you cook the data to declare the water safe, and then you start seeing a lot of Flint residents, those who could afford it, moving out, well, the state is very happy for them to move out, because they want to bulldoze the north side of Flint, which is the worst side, and build new apartment condos, move in college students, and that kind of thing. So, a lot of residents I've spoken to, you keep hearing that, like they are trying to push us out. They don't care if we die off. They just want us out. And the sad thing, Jimmy, is, I mean, we knocked on a lot of doors. You'll see it in the documentary. Block after block after block, you start seeing that, recently all these people have died in Flint. And not like old people, like people in their 40s and 50s. So the lead poisoning in 2014, when it happened, it was immediate. You see it in rashes, you see it in hair loss. But the immune issues and the cancers that come and all these things, they could come 2 years later, they could come 3 years later. But I think how you know that the testing was not credible, in our documentary, you will see person after person still today getting rashes, getting hair loss, nosebleeds. They're not getting it from watching TV. And I'll add one quick point. I think part of the reason the Ocasio-Cortezes of the world don't say anything. And
what about
and again,
Bernie Sanders? What about Bernie? Has he said anything?
I have reached out to his campaign several times, and I have not heard back. So if I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, maybe Bernie's people haven't brought it to him. Same thing for Ocasio-Cortez. In her case, I think they have. But when you're so busy, fighting the daily 24/7 Trump, Russiagate. And this is what I experienced with media when I tried to get media to publish. This was supposed to be published in Newsweek, which I think I mentioned to you. Yeah. I have it right in front of me. I'll read it real quick. I got from Newsweek the day before they were supposed to publish it. The old adage in politics applies here. If you're explaining, you're losing. Meaning the story was too complicated for them to explain. Well, the Attorney General of Michigan's office understands it, because they met with me and we've talked several times. And frankly, I think you'll understand it within 10 minutes what happened. So what I think is you have a bunch of coastal elitist media and politicians that are kind of out of touch with the communities they say they're representing, who frankly don't give a damn and don't want to speak up because they're busy, on whatever pet issue of theirs they're busy with.
I mean, it's just weird. Like, where's Al Sharpton? Where's Jesse Jackson? Right? I mean, I mean, I guess I'm not. I'm a white guy trying, so I don't really understand. I'm the last person to be telling African Americans who should be there. I'm not saying. I'm just saying, where are the leaders? Aren't you? Are you surprised that there aren't leaders like that showing up?
I'm not surprised about Al Sharpton because I think he's a leader when it benefits him. But I am surprised about people, even in our community. I'm not going to go on a list hitting people, but there's people, particularly progressive, black media types that haven't said anything. And I think sometimes people are so focused on whatever they're focused on, and also with growing their Twitter following, and I've learned this in even progressive media. There's very few people that are actually focused on the right things. I mean, I remember I sent it to Elijah Cummings, press secretary. He says, who again, he's the ranking chairman now of the Oversight Committee. He says to me, "Oh, we'll tweet it. We'll tweet about this when the time is right." I literally responded, "When would the time be right? When they're dead?" I mean, maybe that was too strong, but it's baffling to me because we explained it in a way. I mean, you have Erin Brockovich quoted in the story as saying this is criminal. People know who that is. The mayor of Flint is quoted in the story saying this. She wants this investigated. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard and Ro Khanna have called for investigations, but you can't get, again, benefit of the doubt. Maybe Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just doesn't see it and isn't aware of it. Same goes for the others. But what I think really is troubling, and a lot of people watching, they might not be from Flint, but have a similar story. I mean, if this was in Beverly Hills or if this was in LA, it would have been, the National Guard would have been in a week. It would have been fixed in a few weeks. April 25th is 5 years. There's people still getting rashes, which our documentary will show, people still losing their hair. I talk to kids standing on porches who recite the alphabet and they stop at F, and their mother says they used to know the whole thing. Same with numbers. I mean, it's literally like a city of The Walking Dead. I don't mean that in a demoralizing way, but it's tragic. And that's why I keep covering it, because it's not just about Flint. What kind of country do we live in? Do we live in a country where if man-made decisions poison people, do you then leave them to die? Because that's what's going on there. And, what really bothers me, Jimmy, you remember this because you're a comedian. Michelle Wolf does that great act. She, at the end, says, by the way, Flint still doesn't have, clean water. And all the Twitter warriors start being like, hashtag Flint. And I said it at the time. All right, they'll say it now. And then tomorrow they'll go back to Trump. I mean, Barack Obama didn't do anything about this. Shockingly, Trump's not doing anything about this. But honestly, I blame the Democratic Party more, because at the end of the day, they're the ones pretending to be for the working people. They're the ones pretending that we're a party that embraces diversity. I don't hear Stacey Abrams talking about Flint. I know she's on the board of Center for American Progress.
Oh,
sorry.
Is she?
Yep. So it's very troubling, because as a journalist, I don't believe in this, just stand there as a robot and have no emotions. You'd have to be a sociopath to keep going to Flint and not care about these people. And I don't, you know me, I don't get surprised by corruption, but I was shocked when I'm knocking door after door and almost every single person I'm talking to says, yeah, they ran the water because they didn't know any better. They don't know how the test is supposed to be done. They were just happy that state officials came in and were doing something. But that's how they got these low numbers. And it's scary because honestly, because they have these numbers that are not credible, we don't know what the actual numbers are. And I think, Reuters did a report years ago saying, well, 3,000 other cities have higher lead levels than Flint. Well, they were using the data that was given to them by this government. So it's scary. And I don't know. I wish I had an answer why more politicians aren't doing something about this. But I'll tell you what, Bernie Sanders, I know he's busy, but it's sitting in his campaign's email box. I've texted with one of his press people. If it hasn't been brought to them, shame on them. April 25th is 5 years, so I'm sure Nancy and Chuck and all these people will send out emails and pretend they care. But at the end of the day, this is an environmental scandal. I mean, they covered up and cooked the data. And I hope people, watch the documentary and then do something. We'll have call to actions on how they could do something. And I shall say, honestly, attorney generals don't meet with people who don't have evidence. We met with the attorney general's office. I've spoken with them since. And that's all I could say about that. But the story has not ended yet.
Okay. All right. Jordan Chariton of the Status Coup. Everybody check out Status Coup. Is it statuscoup.com?
Yeah, and people could check out the documentary. It premieres April 23rd at flushingflint.com. But if they want it early, it'll be early for Status Coup members April 20th. statuscoup.com/join, and you'll get access to Flushing Flint.
Okay. Jordan Chariton, great work. Thanks for keeping us up to date on this, and I hope to see you soon, buddy.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Next live Jimmy Dore show is June 5th. That's a Wednesday at Hermosa Beach Comedy Club in Hermosa Beach, California. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all tickets. We might be coming to your town. And if you love the show, please become a patron. Please support the show. We give you hours of bonus material every week. And please click that bell and make sure you're subscribed. Even if you think you are already subscribed, they unsubscribe people every day. Just check. Thanks for your support.